Welcome to Sleepy Theory. Before we begin, allow yourself to slow down. There is nowhere you need to go and nothing you need to do. Just let the sound of this voice keep you company. If you enjoy calm science, quiet ideas, and long journeys into nature and the mind, you may consider subscribing to the channel. New stories are always waiting here, patiently, in the dark. Now, make yourself comfortable. Take a slow breath in and let it gently go. Tonight, we will listen to the hidden language of nature, not with our ears, but with our attention. Let us begin. When we enter a forest, the first sensation we often notice is not sound or sight, but smell. The air feels layered. It may be cool and damp, carrying the scent of soil and leaves, or dry and sharp with resin and bark. These smells seem passive, almost decorative, as if they exist only to create atmosphere. For a long time, science viewed them the same way. Today, we understand that these scents are not background. They're signals. Forests do not communicate through voices or movement in ways humans easily recognize. They do not need speed or volume. Instead, they rely on chemistry. Every tree continuously releases microscopic compounds into the air. These compounds drift, mix, and change depending on conditions. Together, they form an invisible language that fills the forest space at all times. Many of these compounds are known as volatile organic compounds. They evaporate easily and travel through the air with little effort. Leaves release them during growth, stress, and damage. Bark and flowers contribute their own variations. Even roots can influence what rises into the air above them. This chemical presence is not constant. It shifts minute by minute, responding to light, temperature, moisture, and threat. When a tree is healthy and undisturbed, its chemical emissions follow a stable pattern. This pattern reflects normal metabolism and growth. When that same tree experiences stress, the pattern changes. Insect damage, dehydration, or disease triggers internal chemical pathways that alter what the tree releases. These changes are not deliberate. They are automatic responses shaped by evolution. One of the most important roles of this chemical language is early warning. When insects begin feeding on leaves, physical damage activates defensive mechanisms inside the plant. Chemicals designed to deter feeding insects are produced within minutes. Some remain within the leaf tissue. Others are released into the air. These airborne signals spread outward, carried by moving air. Nearby trees are sensitive to these compounds. Their leaves contain receptors capable of detecting specific chemicals at extremely low concentrations. When these receptors are activated, they trigger changes inside the tree. Defensive genes are switched on. Toxins or bitter compounds increase. Growth may slow slightly as energy shifts toward protection. This happens before insects arrive. This process allows forests to respond as systems rather than as isolated individuals. A single damaged tree becomes an information source. Others prepare quietly, reducing overall harm. The forest does not panic. It adjusts. Wind is essential to this system. Without it, chemical signals would remain close to their source. With even a gentle breeze, messages travel far beyond the original tree. The speed, direction, and turbulence of air movement shape how information spreads. On calm days, signals linger and accumulate. On windy days, they move quickly across wide areas. In this way, the atmosphere becomes part of the forest itself. Air is not empty space. It is a shared medium for information. The forest and the wind operate together, forming a dynamic communication layer that is always present but rarely noticed. Chemical signaling is not limited to insect attacks. Drought also alters the forest's chemical profile. When water becomes scarce, trees reduce transpiration and change how their stomata behave. These internal changes affect which compounds are released into the air. Neighboring trees detect these shifts and may adjust their own water use in response. Growth slows collectively. Energy conservation increases. Fire influences this language as well. Heat, smoke, and tissue damage trigger different chemical responses. Some plants release compounds that encourage seed germination after fire. Others adjust growth patterns in anticipation of recovery. These responses are not immediate solutions. They are long-term adjustments shaped by repeated exposure over thousands of years. Seasonal changes continuously reshape the invisible symphony. In spring, new leaves release different compounds than mature ones. Growth hormones influence emissions. In summer, heat and light intensify chemical activity. Autumn brings breakdown and transformation as leaves age and fall. Winter quiets much of the process but does not stop it entirely. At any moment, thousands of chemical messages are drifting through the forest air. Most are undetectable to human senses. Our sense of smell recognizes only a small fraction, and even then, we interpret them emotionally rather than informationally. To trees, these compounds are neither pleasant nor unpleasant. They are data. This communication does not involve awareness or intention. Trees do not decide to warn others. They do not recognize neighbors as individuals. The system functions because chemical release and detection improve survival. Over long periods, trees that responded effectively to these signals were more likely to persist. Gradually, this responsiveness became part of forest biology. Night does not stop this communication. Chemical emissions continue in darkness. Cooler air often allows compounds to remain concentrated near the forest floor. During early morning, warming air redistributes these accumulated signals. The daily cycle reshapes how information moves, creating rhythms that repeat quietly. Animals interact with this system as well. Insects use plant chemicals to locate hosts or avoid defended trees. Predators sometimes track prey by following plant-emitted compounds associated with feeding. In this way, chemical communication extends beyond plants, shaping interactions across species. Modern technology has allowed scientists to study this invisible language more closely. Sensitive instruments can now detect airborne chemicals in real time. These measurements reveal how forests respond collectively to stress, growth, and recovery. They also show how human activity interferes with this system. Air pollution introduces foreign compounds into forest environments. Some pollutants mask natural plant signals. Others alter chemical reactions directly. When signals are distorted, trees may fail to detect early warnings. Defensive responses weaken. The forest becomes more vulnerable to pests and disease. Understanding this chemical communication changes how we perceive forests. They are not silent. They are not passive. They are constantly exchanging information, using the air itself as a medium. When we walk through a forest, we move through layers of communication intended for leaves, not ears. The calm many people feel in forests may come from this balance. Information flows steadily. Nothing is rushed. Responses are measured. The forest rarely reacts suddenly. It prepares instead. This is not intelligence as humans define it. There is no thinking or planning. Yet there is coordination. There is adaptation. There is memory embedded in chemical pathways refined over time. The invisible symphony never stops. It changes with weather, season, and disturbance. It continues whether or not anyone is there to notice. As you imagine this system, the gentle movement of air and scent, there's no need to focus. The forest does not demand attention. It communicates by remaining consistent. Within that consistency, life persists, balanced, quiet, ongoing. Beneath the forest floor, far below fallen leaves and visible roots, lies a system that most life never sees. It is dark, dense, and slow. There is no light, no movement that draws attention. Yet this underground space is one of the most active zones of communication on Earth. What exists here is not soil alone, but connection. For centuries, roots were thought to function independently. Each tree was imagined as a solitary organism, pulling water and minerals from the ground, competing silently with its neighbors. The forest was viewed as a crowded place where survival depended on isolation and dominance. This picture was incomplete. Hidden among the roots is a vast network of fungi. Thin, thread-like structures called mycelium spread outward in every direction. They weave through soil particles, wrap gently around roots, and link one plant to another. This network is ancient. It existed long before forests as we know them today. Mycelium grows slowly but persistently. It does not rush. It follows gradients of moisture, nutrients, and chemical signals. Over time, it forms connections that can span entire forests. Through these connections, resources move. This partnership between trees and fungi is known as mycorrhizal symbiosis. The tree provides sugars produced through photosynthesis. The fungus provides minerals, water, and access to distant resources. Both benefit, neither controls the other. The relationship is balanced through constant exchange. But resource transfer is only part of the story. Information also moves through this network. Chemical signals can pass from one root system to another via fungal threads. Changes in nutrient availability, stress signals, and defensive alerts travel underground. This process is slow compared to human communication, but speed is not its purpose. Reliability is. When one tree experiences stress, such as drought or insect attack, chemical changes occur in its roots. These changes influence the fungal network connected to it. Signals propagate outward, reaching other trees linked through shared fungi. In response, those trees may alter their own internal processes. This underground exchange resembles a neural network in function, though not in structure. There are no neurons, no electrical impulses as seen in animals. Instead, there are chemical gradients and transport mechanisms. The similarity lies in integration, not anatomy. The fungal network does not think. It does not decide. It responds to changes in its environment by adjusting growth and transport. These adjustments affect connected trees. Over time, this creates coordinated responses across large areas. Young trees benefit greatly from this system. Seedlings with limited root systems gain access to nutrients through fungal connections established by older trees. Without this support, many seedlings would fail to survive their early years. The network acts as an extension of their reach. This support is not distributed equally. Trees that contribute more sugars to the fungal network often receive more resources in return. This is not fairness. It is exchange. The system adjusts continuously, maintaining balance through feedback rather than intention. Different species of fungi specialize in different functions. Some excel at phosphorus transport, others focus on nitrogen or water. Trees may host multiple fungal partners simultaneously, each contributing in its own way. The underground world is diverse, layered, and complex. Competition still exists. Roots and fungi occupy space. Resources are limited, but cooperation reduces waste. Instead of every tree searching blindly, information spreads. Instead of isolated failure, collective adjustment occurs. The depth of this network varies. In some forests, it remains close to the surface. In others, it extends deep into the soil. Its structure reflects soil composition, moisture, temperature, and history. Disturbances such as logging or fire can damage the network, but regrowth is possible over time. Human activity often disrupts this system without awareness. Heavy machinery compresses soil, breaking fungal threads. Chemical fertilizers reduce the need for fungal nutrient exchange, weakening partnerships. Over time, forests become less resilient. When forests are replanted without preserving underground networks, trees grow faster at first but struggle later. They lack the invisible support systems that stabilize mature ecosystems. What appears efficient in the short term creates fragility in the long term. Research into these networks has reshaped ecological understanding. Forests are no longer seen as collections of individuals, but as integrated systems. The health of one affects the health of many. Damage spreads not only through disease, but through broken connections. Silence dominates this underground world. There is no sound, no vibration detectable by human senses. Yet activity never stops. Nutrients flow, signals move, structures grow and dissolve. Everything happens at a pace that allows balance. Time behaves differently here. Processes measured in hours above ground may take weeks or months below. This slowness creates stability. Sudden changes are softened. Extremes are moderated. The network acts as a buffer against chaos. During the night, when photosynthesis stops, trees continue to exchange resources through fungal connections. Stored sugars move. Water redistribution occurs. The forest does not sleep completely. It shifts in a maintenance mode. In winter, when growth slows, the network persists. Fungal activity decreases but does not end. Memory remains embedded in structure. When conditions improve, connections are already in place, ready to resume full function. This underground system also stores history. Areas repeatedly stressed show altered network patterns. Certain pathways strengthen, others fade. Over decades, the forest experiences shape its internal architecture. Calling this system intelligent can be misleading. Intelligence implies awareness. What exists here is responsiveness shaped by time. The network reacts because reaction improves survival. Nothing more is required. Yet the result resembles wisdom. Resources are shared when needed. Growth is moderated. Excess is redistributed. Loss is absorbed collectively. These outcomes mirror principles humans often strive to achieve consciously. When you walk through a forest, the ground beneath you carries more than weight. It carries information. Each step presses down on layers of connection built slowly and carefully. The forest does not resist. It adapts. Understanding this hidden network invites patience. It reminds us that strength does not always appear above the surface. Some of the most important work happens quietly, unseen, and without recognition. The neural network of Earth does not demand attention. It functions whether or not it is understood. But knowing it exists changes how the forest feels. The ground becomes alive in a different way, not animated but connected, and within that connection, the forest remains calm. In every old forest, there are trees that have seen more than most living things on Earth. They were already tall when wars were fought far away. They were already rooted when languages changed and borders disappeared. These are often called mother trees, not because they resemble human parents, but because of the role they play within the forest. Mother trees are usually the oldest and largest individuals in a forest ecosystem. Their trunks are wide, their roots deep and far-reaching. Over time, they become central hubs within underground networks. More fungal connections attach to them. More resources pass through them. Their position is not symbolic. It is structural. Age gives these trees advantages. Their root systems explore vast areas of soil. Their leaves capture light efficiently. Their internal chemistry is stable, refined by centuries of adaptation. Because of this, they produce and store more energy than younger trees. This surplus allows them to support others. Through underground fungal networks, mother trees distribute sugars, water, and nutrients to nearby seedlings. This transfer is not constant or unlimited. It responds to conditions. When young trees struggle in shade or drought, support increases. When they become self-sufficient, transfers decrease. The forest does not rely on equality. It relies on continuity. Mother trees also act as memory holders. Over decades and centuries, they experience repeated cycles of stress and recovery. Droughts, insect outbreaks, storms, and fires leave chemical traces in their tissues. These experiences shape how they respond to future challenges. When similar stresses return, older trees often respond more efficiently. Their defensive reactions activate faster. Their chemical signaling is stronger. Through underground connections, these responses influence surrounding trees. In this way, experience spreads. This is not memory stored as thoughts. It is memory embedded in structure and chemistry. The forest remembers by changing how it reacts. Seedlings growing near mother trees have higher survival rates. Shade from the canopy protects them from heat and evaporation. Fallen leaves enrich the soil. Underground support reduces early stress. These advantages are not accidental. Over time, forests structured themselves around stability. Distance matters. Seedlings growing too close to a parent may compete for light and resources. Too far away, and they lose protection. The forest finds balance through spacing shaped by natural selection. Mother trees also regulate diversity. They do not support only their own species. In mixed forests, fungal networks connect different species together. Resources move across these boundaries. This sharing reduces dominance by any single species, allowing ecosystems to remain diverse. Diversity strengthens resilience. When one species suffers, others compensate. The forest absorbs loss without collapse. Mother trees help maintain this balance by acting as anchors within the system. Death does not end their influence immediately. When a mother tree falls, its roots decay slowly. Fungal networks adjust gradually. Nutrients stored in would return to the soil. New life grows from old structure. Even in absence, the tree continues to shape the forest. This slow transition prevents sudden disruption. The forest rarely experiences abrupt endings. Most change happens gently, over time. Human activity often removes mother trees first. Their size makes them valuable. Their removal breaks central connections. Underground networks fragment. Seedlings lose support. Forest regeneration becomes harder. Replanted forests without old trees lack memory. They grow, but they are inexperienced. They respond poorly to stress. They require more external intervention to survive. What looks like renewal is often simplification. Research into mother trees has challenged traditional forestry practices. Instead of uniform harvesting, selective preservation maintains ecosystem function. Leaving a few old trees standing can stabilize entire areas. This understanding shifts how time is valued. In forests, time is not measured in seasons alone. It accumulates. Each year adds complexity. Each survival event strengthens internal systems. Mother trees embody this accumulation. They are living records of environmental history. Their rings tell stories of drought and abundance. Their chemistry reflects past threats. Their presence shapes present conditions. Silence surrounds them. They do not move quickly. They do not react visibly. Yet their influence extends outward continuously. Younger trees adjust their growth in response. Fungal networks orient around them. The forest organizes itself quietly. In the evening, when light fades and activity slows, these trees remain unchanged. Their stability contrasts with the daily rhythms of smaller plants and animals. They do not follow the clock. They follow cycles measured in decades. Storms test them. Some fall. Others survive, shaped by previous exposure. Each storm filters the forest, leaving behind individuals best suited to current conditions. Mother trees are often among those survivors. Their role is not leadership. It is presence. They do not command. They support. They do not compete aggressively. They persist. This persistence creates calm. Forests dominated by old trees feel different. Sound is muted. Light is filtered. Movement slows. The environment encourages conservation of energy. People often feel peace in such places, not because forests intend to soothe, but because stability reduces sensory extremes. Temperature fluctuates less. Wind softens. Life settles into steady patterns. When we imagine the forest as a whole, these trees are not monuments. They are processes extended through centuries. They hold the past within the present, allowing the future to emerge gradually. They guard time by embodying it. When night settles over a forest, the change is not sudden. Light fades gradually, colors soften, and edges lose their sharpness. The forest does not switch off. It transitions. Daytime activity slows, but life continues in a different rhythm. This is when the forest enters one of its most subtle states. In deep darkness, far from artificial light, faint glows sometimes appear close to the ground. They are easy to miss. A a soft green shimmer beneath a fallen log, a dim blue trace along decaying wood. These lights do not illuminate the forest. They barely announce themselves. They exist quietly, without intention to be seen. This phenomenon is known as bioluminescence. It is the ability of living organisms to produce light through chemical reactions. In forests, bioluminescence is most commonly found in fungi, bacteria, and some insects. Unlike the dramatic displays of deep-sea creatures, forest bioluminescence is restrained. The chemistry behind this light is precise and efficient. Special molecules react with oxygen in the presence of enzymes, releasing energy as light rather than heat. This process requires very little energy, which makes it suitable for organisms living in nutrient-poor environments like decaying wood. Glowing fungi often grow on dead trees and fallen branches. These organisms break down complex plant material, returning nutrients to the soil. The light they produce does not help humans navigate the forest. Its purpose lies elsewhere. One explanation suggests that bioluminescence attracts insects. Drawn to the faint glow, insects land on the fungi and help spread spores. Another explanation points to chemical byproducts of metabolism, with light being a side effect rather than a function. In nature, usefulness and coincidence often overlap. Regardless of purpose, the presence of light and darkness alters perception. The forest feels different when even the smallest glow exists. Darkness becomes layered rather than absolute. This subtle illumination does not disturb. It complements the night. As the forest darkens, animals adjust their behavior. Diurnal creatures retreat. Nocturnal ones emerge. Sounds change. The sharp calls of birds give way to softer movements, distant rustling, and occasional low-frequency sounds that blend into the background. The soil also shifts activity. Microorganisms continue working steadily, breaking down organic matter. Roots redistribute stored sugars. Fungal networks remain active, though slower than during the day. The forest does not sleep in the human sense. It enters maintenance mode. Bioluminescent organisms often peak during periods of high humidity and stable temperatures. After rain, when the forest floor is saturated and air movement is minimal, glows appear more frequently. Moisture supports chemical reactions and reduces evaporation, allowing light-producing compounds to persist. The human nervous system responds strongly to light and darkness. Even weak illumination captures attention. In the forest, this reaction slows movement. It encourages stillness. Observers become careful, quiet, aware. This slowing aligns with the forest's nighttime rhythm. Movement decreases. Energy is conserved. Processes favor repair and redistribution over growth. The forest pulse becomes steady and deep. Bioluminescence does not dominate the night. It punctuates it. It reminds that activity continues even when vision fails. The forest remains alive, not inert. In deeper layers of the forest floor, bacteria also produce light under certain conditions. These microorganisms play roles in nutrient cycling and soil chemistry. Their glow is invisible to the naked eye, but measurable with instruments. Even here, energy transforms quietly. The night forest operates under different priorities. Temperature gradients flatten, wind slows, chemical signals linger longer in the air. Communication becomes localized. Changes propagate slowly, allowing stability. This environment supports recovery. Plants repair cellular damage accumulated during daylight. Water redistributes evenly through soil and roots. Fungal networks adjust resource flow in response to reduced demand. Sleep, in biological terms, is not absence of function. It is reorganization. The forest demonstrates this principle on a large scale. Night is not an ending. It is a recalibration. Artificial light disrupts this balance. Even small amounts alter insect behavior, suppress fungal bioluminescence, and confuse nocturnal animals. The forest adapts, but adaptation comes with cost. Energy is diverted, rhythms break. In untouched forests, darkness remains intact. Bioluminescence retains its subtle role. It does not compete with stars or moonlight. It complements them, creating depth rather than brightness. The forest at night encourages inward focus. Sounds blend into a consistent background. Visual stimuli decrease. Attention softens. This is not accidental. Environments that reduce sensory extremes promote rest. For humans, being present in such darkness often leads to calm. Breathing slows. Thoughts become less sharp. The mind mirrors the environment. The bioluminescent pulse is not a signal of activity increasing. It marks a transition into deeper stillness. It is a reminder that life continues without urgency. As night progresses, glows fade. The forest settles fully. By early morning, chemical reactions slow. Light disappears. What remains is readiness for the next cycle. When dawn arrives, growth resumes. Photosynthesis restarts. Signals change. The forest shifts again, without memory of light, without regret for darkness. This pulse, this quiet illumination, is part of a larger rhythm that does not require awareness to function. It persists because it works. In the forest, rest is productive, darkness is active, light is optional, and so the night completes the cycle, gently, without announcement. As the forest moves deeper into the night, its activity does not disappear. It changes form. Growth slows, movement becomes subtle, and the most visible processes of the day gently fade. What remains is something quieter and more essential. The forest begins to breathe in a different way. Breathing, in this context, does not mean lungs or air moving in and out with force. It refers to the exchange of gases that never truly stops. During the day, trees take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen through photosynthesis. This process feels active, almost energetic. At night, that balance shifts. Photosynthesis pauses, but respiration continues. Every tree, every root, every microorganism continues to consume oxygen and release carbon dioxide. This is not a mistake or a weakness. It is maintenance. Cells repair themselves. Energy is redistributed. What was built during the day is stabilized during the night. This nightly breathing happens slowly and evenly. There is no surge, no rush. The forest does not fear the absence of light. It was designed for this cycle. Darkness is not an interruption. It is part of the system. On calm nights, especially in dense forests, carbon dioxide can gently accumulate near the forest floor. Cooler air settles downward, holding gases close to the ground. This creates layers within the air itself. Above, the canopy remains still. Below, the soil and roots continue their quiet work. Microorganisms in the soil play a major role in this process. Bacteria and fungi break down organic material, releasing carbon dioxide as a natural result of metabolism. This work is constant, It does not pause for night or day. The forest floor is always active, even when everything above appears still. Roots also respire. Though hidden from view, they consume oxygen and release carbon dioxide, just like leaves and stems. Their breathing is slower, steadier. It connects the living tree to the soil environment, maintaining balance between above and below. During the night, stomata on leaves often partially close. Water loss is reduced. Energy use becomes conservative. The forest shifts into efficiency mode. Nothing extra is spent. Nothing unnecessary is produced. This breathing cycle affects temperature as well. Forests cool more slowly than open land. The layered air, the moisture held by leaves and soil, and the steady respiration all contribute to thermal stability. Extremes are softened. The night becomes gentler. Humans entering a forest at night often feel this difference without knowing why. The air feels heavier, calmer. Sounds travel differently. Breathing slows naturally. The body responds to the environment's rhythm. Carbon exchange is not only about gases. It reflects how energy flows through the forest. Carbon stored in wood represents years of sunlight captured and preserved. At night, that stored energy supports cellular repair and survival rather than growth. This shift mirrors rest in animals. Muscles recover, systems recalibrate. The forest does the same, but on a much larger scale and over much longer time frames. The breathing of the forest is also connected to the larger atmosphere. Forests influence local weather patterns by releasing moisture and regulating temperature. Even at night, these effects persist. Air above forests behaves differently than air above cities or bare land. Wind moving through trees at night carries subtle chemical signals produced during respiration. These signals mix with moisture and temperature gradients, creating a complex but gentle flow of information. The forest communicates even as it rests. Nothing in this process demands attention. There is no sound announcing the exchange. No visible movement marking the rhythm. It happens because it must, not because it is observed. In ancient forests, this breathing pattern has remained stable for centuries. Trees that survive long lives adapt perfectly to these cycles. They neither resist nor accelerate them. They follow. This stability allows forests to recover from stress. After heat, after drought, after disturbance, the return of night breathing helps restore balance. Excess heat dissipates, water redistributes, chemical systems normalize. Artificial disruptions interfere with this rhythm. Light at night alters stomatal behavior. Pollution changes gas composition. Noise and heat affect airflow. The forest adapts, but the cost is subtle exhaustion over time. In untouched environments, however, the breathing remains smooth. Night after night, the cycle repeats. Not exactly the same, but close enough to maintain continuity. As this breathing continues, the forest gradually enters its deepest rest phase. Activity does not stop, but intensity drops to its lowest level. This is where the forest becomes most stable, most resistant to sudden change. For the human listener, this moment often coincides with drowsiness. The steady rhythm, the lack of sharp stimuli, and the predictable flow encourage the nervous system to relax. Breathing slows. Muscles release tension. The forest does not invite sleep. It simply creates the conditions where sleep becomes easy. This quiet exchange of gases, this invisible breathing, has sustained forests for millions of years. Long before humans noticed it, long before it was measured, it existed as a foundation of life. As the night deepens, the breathing continues unchanged. It does not signal an ending. It prepares the forest for the next return of light. And until then, it remains slow, steady, and enough. As the night continues, the forest moves further away from the rhythm of clocks. There is no clear marker for hours passing, no signal that announces progress. Instead, time begins to stretch, not outward but inward. Events happen, but they are no longer arranged in a sequence that demands attention. In human life, time is usually experienced as pressure. Tasks follow one another. Moments are measured, compared, and often rushed. In the forest, time functions differently. It does not push, it allows. Trees do not grow according to schedules. They respond to conditions. A warm year adds a thicker ring. A dry year leaves a narrow one. Time is recorded, but never chased. Growth happens only when resources allow it. At night, this philosophy becomes more apparent. Without light-driven activity, there is no incentive for speed. Chemical reactions slow. Energy is conserved. The forest enters a state where change is minimal but continuous. This slowing does not mean inactivity. Roots still absorb water. Fungal networks continue transferring nutrients. Microorganisms remain at work, but everything happens at a pace that avoids urgency. The absence of urgency is important. Urgency consumes energy. It creates instability. By slowing down at night, the forest reduces error. Processes become more precise. Resources are allocated carefully. Animals mirror this rhythm. Nocturnal creatures move efficiently, without wasted motion. They do not explore aimlessly. They follow paths shaped by memory and instinct. Diurnal animals remain still, reducing exposure and conserving energy. Even wind behaves differently at night. Temperature differences even out. Air movement becomes smoother. Sudden gusts are rare. Sound travels farther, but carries less sharpness. Everything blends. This environment changes how the nervous system responds. Without frequent changes, the brain reduces alertness. Attention softens. Thoughts lose their edges. The mind becomes receptive rather than analytical. Nature does not attempt to control perception. It simply removes excess stimulation. In doing so, it reveals a different experience of time. In forests, long-lived organisms depend on this slow time. A tree that lives for centuries cannot afford constant reaction. It must filter signals, responding only to what truly matters. Nighttime reinforces this selectivity. Chemical signaling slows as well. Messages still move, but they are fewer and more localized. The forest focuses inward rather than outward. Maintenance replaces expansion. This inward focus is where resilience is built. Damage repaired at night reduces vulnerability during the day. Energy stored now supports future growth. Slowing down is not loss. It is preparation. Humans often struggle with this concept. Slowness is associated with inefficiency. In nature, it is associated with accuracy. Fast systems break easily. Slow systems endure. The forest demonstrates this endurance quietly. There is no display of strength. Stability is the result of accumulated patience. At this stage of the night, temperature drops slightly. Metabolic rates follow. The forest reaches a steady minimum. This is not the absence of life, but its most balanced form. Time here feels wide. Minutes lose their meaning. There is no anticipation of what comes next, only continuation. This feeling is not accidental. Environments that remove time pressure allow recovery. Stress hormones decrease. Breathing synchronizes with surroundings. The body aligns with external rhythm. In this alignment, sleep becomes natural, not forced, not induced, simply allowed. The forest does not guide sleep deliberately. It does not intend comfort, but its systems evolved to prioritize survival through balance. Comfort emerges as a side effect. As night progresses, nothing dramatic happens. And that is the point. The forest trusts the process. It does not need constant change to remain alive. This trust is built into every layer. Soil organisms repeat the same cycles they performed yesterday. Trees rely on patterns older than memory. The ecosystem moves forward by repeating what works. When dawn eventually arrives, time will tighten again. Activity will increase. Signals will multiply. But for now, the forest remains suspended in slow time. This suspension is not emptiness. It is fullness without motion. And within it, rest deepens. At the deepest point of the night, the forest reaches a state that can best be described as rest. Not the absence of activity, but the lowest possible intensity of it. Nothing is forced. Nothing is accelerated. Life continues in its most economical form. In this phase, the forest no longer responds to the outside world. There is little to react to. Temperature is stable. Light is absent. Wind is minimal. The environment has simplified itself. This simplicity allows systems to synchronize. Processes that operate at different speeds during the day begin to align. Energy use evens out. Fluctuations smooth into consistency. Trees remain still, not because they choose to, but because movement offers no advantage now. Growth pauses completely. Repair and regulation take priority. Internal chemistry focuses on balance rather than expansion. Roots continue to function quietly. Water is redistributed evenly through soil layers. Pressure differences equalize. Nutrients settle into stable pathways. Nothing searches. Everything accepts its place. Fungal networks, which carried information and resources actively during the day, reduce transfer to a minimum. Connections remain intact, but flow slows. This prevents unnecessary energy loss and protects structure. Microorganisms in the soil continue their work at a reduced pace. Decomposition does not stop, but it becomes steady and predictable. Even decay rests. Animals enter their own versions of this deep phase. Some sleep, others remain still, alert but unmoving. Energy conservation dominates behavior. Risk is avoided. Sound becomes rare. When it occurs, it blends into the background rather than standing out. The forest does not demand attention. It does not compete for awareness. This state represents the forest's most efficient form. By reducing complexity, it protects itself from error. Sudden reactions are unlikely. Stability increases. From a biological perspective, this deep rest is essential. Without it, systems would accumulate damage, resources would deplete, balance would erode. Night restores what day consumes. The forest has evolved to trust this process completely. There is no backup system. There is no alternative mode. Rest is not optional. It is required. Humans often resist rest. Minds remain active even when bodies slow. In contrast, the forest allows full disengagement from outward focus. It turns inward without hesitation. This inward shift mirrors deep sleep in animals. Brain activity slows. Sensory input decreases. Repair accelerates. Memory consolidates. The forest performs an equivalent process on a massive scale. There is no awareness of time here. Hours pass unnoticed. Nothing marks progression. This timelessness is not confusion. It is clarity through simplicity. The forest does not prepare consciously for morning. It does not anticipate light. It simply maintains itself so that when light returns, response will be effortless. Even disturbances are softened in this state. Small changes are absorbed without reaction. The forest becomes resilient by being unresponsive. This deep rest is also where long-term stability is preserved. Patterns that have worked for centuries remain intact. Nothing new is introduced. Nothing old is challenged. For the human listener, this moment often coincides with the edge of sleep. Thoughts lose structure. Attention drifts. Awareness becomes diffuse. The forest does not pull the listener into sleep. It removes reasons to stay awake. Breathing slows. Muscles release. The nervous system follows the external rhythm without instruction. This is not surrender. It is alignment. As the night reaches its quietest point, there is nothing left to explain. Processes continue without commentary. Life sustains itself without effort. Eventually, light will return. Activity will increase. Signals will multiply. Growth will resume. But none of that needs to happen now. For this moment, the forest rests completely. And within that rest, everything it needs is already present.